Trends move fast, but strategy moves faster. Today, I'm joined by Miruna from Social Insider, who blends her love for storytelling with data to help brands create content that rides the waves and builds momentum. If you're ready to go beyond like fleeting fads and tap into what actually works on social media in 2025, stay tuned. This is Strategy Talks.
Let's strategize together. Let's hear it from an expert. Join the conversation, it's informative and free. You and me, let's talk some strategy. Now here's your host, Morin-van.
Hello, everybody. My name is Doreen Morin-van, and I am the host of Strategy Talks. If you're here with us live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, we would love to know that you're here and maybe you have some questions you can ask us. If you're watching this on the replay, be sure to put hashtag replay in the comments wherever you're watching so that my guests and myself know that you're watching this on the replay and can answer your questions for you. Last but not least, if you're listening to Strategy Talks as a podcast, we so appreciate you. Thank you so much for being with us today. Now, today we're going to talk about trending topics. So I'm going to bring to the stage my friend Miruna. Miruna, how are you today?
Hello. Hi, Dorian. Thank you so much for inviting me. And I love the introduction. The sound is sticking in my head right now.
I know. Isn't it awesome? I love my jingle. And so many guests say like, oh, it's so catchy. It's like, yeah, that's why it hasn't changed in 4 years. And it's funny because as I'm watching it, for those of you listening, it's a jingle, but it also has a little video and it says strategic international thinkers. And I've had so many great international guests. And here we are again with Miruna from Romania, who's here to talk about trends. Now, before we dive into all of the questions, Miruna, you're the social media manager for Social Insider. This quote from Stephen King, I love this. He's an American writer, and he says, in order to be a great writer, you have to be a ferocious reader. Now, I apply that to social media, and I say, in order to be a great content creator, you need to be a ferocious content consumer. So you're a young person. Where do you consume content? Where are you going for the latest and the greatest, since we're talking about trends?
Of course, yeah. Well, I'm actually a over consumer of social media, and my top platform probably is TikTok, like most of my Gen Z people out here. I use TikTok for everything nowadays, like also for search. I search most of my products that I want to find out about. I find out trends on TikTok, places to go, everything. It's on TikTok. Even my favorite place on TikTok, it's in the comments. And here I can find out everything of what other people say, other people think. Even if sometimes it looks like a coded language, I get it because I spend so much time on TikTok that I know. And my second platform that I love to use, it's probably Pinterest. Because, it's very aesthetically pleasing, but that's not all. It's easier for me to get the information I need, and usually I use Pinterest to get some kind of small research in my mind before I start writing my newsletter, or even a copy for a post, because it's easy to see some codes, some pictures that give me some inspiration for what I do. So these are my top two platforms I like to use.
I love that you use Pinterest. I use Pinterest almost daily, but I use it for daily life. Like you say to, for trending content and for inspiration. I use it for inspiration for cooking and cleaning and decorating my home and any kind of, quick hacks that I need. I go to Pinterest all the time, and it's funny because I think a lot of social media managers don't talk about Pinterest anymore, but
Yeah,
it's hugely valuable, and people still go there for inspiration, which is really what they tell you to go there for. It's a
exactly.
search
Yeah.
engine for inspiration. So I love that. So let's get to the real questions. Now, Miruna, you've said that relatable, entertaining content is for to win in 2025, but how do you find relatable content or relatable in a world where every audience is so fragmented?
Of course. Well, how we do things to find relatable content, it's a big audience. I can't make relatable content for all the ranges in my audience. So we like to structure on content pillars. So for each content pillars that, for example, one of our most important content pillar right now from our last analysis is company culture. So for this audience that likes to watch company culture, I try to find trends that are relatable to this content pillar. If I have another content pillar, which can be studies, which is not, you can really find trends for studies, which is another powerful content pillar we have. But we can find trending words or trending memes that I can associate with studies. So it's hard to make something that it's relatable, that people can see themselves in one single post. But if you structure them, if you kind of find pillars for different type of people, then it's easier for you to find trending posts and not just put all them together.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I love that how you broke that down. So you have the content pillars first, and then say one of them is we are going to talk about company culture. We're going to show company culture, but then we're going to tap into trending content to show the company culture. Instead of just saying, "Hey, here is a behind the scene video," now you're creating a type of behind the scenes video in a way that's already trending. Right.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
I've seen your work. I've seen you hand the camera to the people at Social Insider. I've seen them be a social media manager for the day. I've seen you share that. And those are definitely trending things that are happening. And you being able to get everybody on board of the team, that's really impressive. So I love how you broke that down. So first find and define your content pillars, and then go ahead and find the trends that go with it. So you write a newsletter for Social Insider. I think it is wonderful. It is so uniquely you, and yet it fits so well with Social Insider. It's called A Glitz in the Metrics. I will make sure to link to it in the show notes for everybody. It dishes out weekly hot takes. And then the question for me, and it really has your voice to it, Miruna. I really applaud you for finding that right voice. Now, what is one glitchy metric or one metric that marketers like us obsess over, but probably shouldn't?
Yeah, I'm gonna be completely honest and tell you my opinion about metrics nowadays. Especially, I'm gonna give an example from Instagram because it's one of our top platform. We don't use TikTok, so I don't know much about metrics on TikToks applied to our company. But for me, reach right now is I won't say a vanity metric, but I can say a glitchy metric, because what can I say? Reach is exactly like, you see your crush at the party, but engagement is when the crush come and speak to you. So people just scroll and see your content, but most important metrics right now are shares, comments, and even DMs or saves. These are the metrics that we focus on right now, because reach, especially on Instagram, is not working anymore. It doesn't show us anything. Just people, okay, they saw what I post, but
Then what?
Give me more. Yeah, I can't follow this lead. So I can say that reach is for me a glitchy metric.
Okay. I love that answer. That's awesome. So let's talk about trend jumping, which is what you do when you copy a trend, versus trend setting, when you create something that others want to emulate, right? Is there a moment that you intentionally ignore a trend? And is that something that has paid off for you before, where you're seeing a trend, you're trying to make sure, we're trying to figure out if it fits with, the parameters of Social Insider, would that work or not? And then it didn't, and then you were glad you did. Has there been one of those moments that you're like, "Whew, I'm glad I didn't jump on that one"?
Actually, yes. So every time I research for new trends, especially like videos or even carousels, I try to match with the Social Insider values and the tone of voice and our company culture. But even if I do like some trends, I can match them. So sometimes I can see from other pages that the trending post is very popular, it's becoming viral, but I can't present it for our brand because it just like slide from our values. So in that moment, I say, "Oh, of course, I love this trend, but I cannot post it for us." Even sometimes, because my mind is like playing with me, sometimes I say, maybe I can turn around this trend and make it perfect for our voice. And I do it, but I don't post it because when I see it, like I made the post and I see that it doesn't match, then I have the proof in for myself.
Yeah.
Even if it takes some time, maybe it takes me like, I don't know, 1 hour, but that hour convinced me, and maybe it's an important decision for our brand that I should not post that trend. So sometimes I see a lot of popular videos, and I can make it. They are not hard to make it, and they are very predictable. But of course, I have to talk also with my manager. But I have a very nice manager, so usually Adina lets me uh, play with my creativity and join trends. But if someone is in a bigger team, they have to ask for approval for trends. So to avoid trends in that way, maybe it's easier than when you're in a small team and you have to talk with one person and ask for permission.
Yeah, so actually that's a great follow-up topic. So, you either jump on the trend right away when you see it, or you need to leave it be, right? So you just mentioned you have a smaller team, you have a nice manager. If you convince, or if you need to even convince, if you talk to your manager and you says, I have this idea for a trend, the decision that's made for you or with you is quick. Am I correct to assume that it's a
Yes.
quick yes
Yes.
or no, or go try and show me? Whereas some of us who work with different kind of companies, we would need to get an approval from a stakeholder. And I work with some nonprofits. A lot of times, especially for specific type of content, we need to get the board involved and get their approval. Now, it's one thing to get a CEO into a meeting and say, hey, we have this piece of content or this idea, we want to do it. It's another whole thing to create a post and then get it in front of a whole board and have them to agree. Trending content will never make it. So
Yeah.
I love for you that you have that. So if you're watching, if you're listening, and you do have a small team, trends is one thing that you can really take advantage of if you have a small team, because you'll be much more agile and you are quicker to respond when you see something. So I love that. So let's go into the next question. When you have this, you, Miruna, have this beautiful blend of creativity and data at Social Insider. Now, when was the last time data completely surprised you, whether in a study or something you just mentioned in the green room, you're getting ready to analyze Q2 data? When was the last time data completely surprised you?
Yeah, so probably in my last analysis for the first quarter of the year, I did an analysis for Instagram, which is playing with me lately. And I thought I can figure out a way to get new followers because this was one of my goals. And I saw actually what I told you about content pillars, that we have the content structure on content pillars. So in that moment, based on our data, I saw that surprisingly, uh, the content pillar that was trending about company culture bring us more viewers from non-followers than followers, which was surprisingly was a surprise for me, because I thought company cultures is most viewed by already my followers, and this was a surprise. And also the fact that people who press follow were from trending videos. So even from studies, when we have the post about studies, it was also from non-followers, and this was a surprise.
And it's a surprise because you thought that either Instagram wouldn't serve it to them, or you thought that only followers would get the inside joke almost, right? Whereas
Exactly.
for me, when I see a company doing some of the company cultures and the trends, especially when I see stakeholders being part of the videos and of the trend, I give them that follow because I feel like they get social. That's why, and maybe that gives you some insight, but I want to reward that social media manager or the social media team who's gotten everybody involved, who obviously gets it, who gets what is needed and gets that company culture across to the viewer. So I personally would reward that myself. So maybe that is the insight that you needed there of
Yeah,
why that happened.
yeah, exactly.
Because we
And
know it's a lot
because
of work.
and because of this, we started a new strategy on stories, and to reward our new followers and post even more company culture funny videos, or maybe insights or gossip. Like, I like to tell that they are gossips, but they are not, of course. But because of this insight, we start, and actually I start testing new trending content on stories to see how they react, and then post it in the main feed. So that's because of data. Everything is happening because of data.
Well, and now with the stories, you're also rewarding people who follow you to see the stories first, and then
Exactly.
and then it goes in the feed. That's really awesome. Thank you so much. These are some great insights that we're getting about trending topics. So, you started storytelling. You gave me your bio early on the radio as a kid. How does that early broadcasting instinct that you clearly have, Miruna, show up in your work today?
um, I also want to say a story first. So I start radio when I was little, because I've been. It was because I said a lie, and my mom said, "You have to work because you lied to me. You have to work." So it was kind of uh, I don't know. She punished me
Mhm.
to have a work, and my mom saw that I talk a lot. So I said, okay, we have a radio station in our small town where I been at that time, so you can work there. And I learned a lot of stuff when I was a kid, to how to use my voice. I had a little kids show, and now I do the same thing, but I don't talk, I write. And I I blend so many things from my childhood spent there at radio in my writing, because every time I write in my newsletter, I think that I'm in front of my audience, and they are my friends, exactly like in my kids' show. They are my friends, and they are not professionals. They are not, uh, I don't know, stakeholders. They are my friends, and I have to talk with them exactly like I talk with you right now, or with my friends back at home. Not big words, not I don't know, fluffy words, even to say jokes or to have inside jokes. And this is the thing that I've learned, that all your listeners and now your readers are your friends. And the best way to reach them is by being a human.
Wow. That's good. That's awesome. Well, that comes really through when your newsletter gets delivered to my inbox. I get a lot of newsletters and I don't read every single one of them. I open quite a few and skim them, but yours I read. And actually, I've clicked on the music that you put in there because I love all the songs. So
Thank you.
that is, again, for somebody who doesn't do some of that research or is perfectly on top. I'm a different generation than you, obviously. So when I want to be in the know of what people from your generation think. I have children your generation, right? So when you feed me that information in a nice way for me to click on things and to learn things, it's really making me feel good. But the music especially, I'm like, why am I clicking? I'm like, last time she gave me some good music, so I'm going to click on this again. So I just want to tell you it's working. You're talking to me like my friend. Of course, we are friends because we've had meetings before. But I think that is really, really powerful. I love that. You took your radio skills, and when you write like you were on the radio talking to that one person. So
Yeah.
absolutely love that. So let's play a little game. It's called Content Roulette. I'm going to give you can keep one. You can either give you can keep a trending format, one spicy metric, or one social media platform, but you can only keep one.
Okay.
Which one would it if you have to create some content? Trending format, spicy metric, or one social platform? I know this is hard because you need all three.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to pick the first one, the trending
Okay.
format.
All right. Okay. So because you think a trending format on one platform will go on basically any platform.
Not really all, but for example, what is working on TikTok in the first place is going to work on Instagram. It's kind of the same, but with 2 weeks margins.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. So talking about trends, is there a trend that everybody is copying right now? We're live. It is July 15, 2025. Is there something that everybody's copying, but they're getting totally wrong? Or if not right now, have you seen a trend that has gone wrong or that people just don't really get or are not doing right?
Right now, exactly like 2 minutes before I enter here, I saw there is a new trend on TikTok with a meme. Maybe I can link here later on. It's very funny. I'm gonna put also tomorrow in the newsletter. But gone wrong, I don't think I've seen in the last let's say 1 week since I did my research. But of course, there were a lot of trends going wrong because it didn't match with like everyone trying to be Duolingo sometimes, and it doesn't fit. And you have to keep your own voice, even if you are funny, but keep your own personality, your brand personality and values. And I've seen even they are trying to be mean. I don't really like this strategy. Like there are some brands like Monzo Bank, they are mean sometimes, but they are doing great. It's matching with them, and it's funny. I don't see it very offensive, but when I see being mean sometimes as a brand, and I don't know I don't know much about this brand, I can feel offensive for saying that as a brand. So it's good to stay to your one personality.
That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. One of the trends that I found personally hard to understand, and I did some extensive research because a client of mine wanted to jump on that point of view, and then you kind of turn it around, like the way you say it. And what I was getting when I was doing the research is that a lot of people were getting that wrong. They were saying the wrong thing to go with the point of view, and I was like, I had to like reverse engineer what it was that I was going to have to say to make that work. I was like, they're making you think about that. But the ones that did it right, it clicked. As soon as you heard it, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? But that point of view one to me was a tough one. So Miruna, you work with tons of benchmark data. So when you look at the best performers on social, what don't we see in the numbers that actually matters most? So when you're thinking about benchmark data and then best performers on social, is there something we don't see that matters? Maybe not necessarily numbers, but what comes out of the numbers?
Okay, so what I like to do is when I do my monthly analysis, I look, of course, at my best performance content. And I look at my goals in terms of numbers, and see if I can reach the yearly goal. And if I see that I can't, like, is there a problem in that month? I try to see the problems. And then I look also at the, let's say, not very good performing post and try to see what are the difference. And sometimes it surprises you, but they are not a big difference. And after we look at benchmarks. So if, for example, I stand right now at a, I don't know, 1.2 engagement rate, and the benchmark is 2, let's say, is not this, but I'm just giving an example for one platform, then I'm lower than the whole benchmark. What we don't see sometimes is probably the why behind. So why the same post, like the same category of post, maybe sometimes the same content pillars, why one post which is exactly the same like the other perform well and the other don't? Like, what's the catch here? And sometimes it's not even your fault. Maybe it's sometimes something happened, but I think sometimes we fall with numbers and we can't find the why behind the reason.
Right. And then sometimes, do you ever look at, when you're looking at engagement, do you still care of where your audience lives, time of day that you post? Like, we haven't really talked about that as far as trending topic, but I just started noticing I have a couple of new connections that are on the West Coast of the US. And so when I go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, it's after dinner for them, 7 o'clock, and they're very active and posting. Now you're in Europe. So what, in your audience, some of your audience in the US. So when we talk about trending topics, but also engagement rate and posting, that is just another piece to the puzzle. Have you figured that out for Social Insider? I think I have figured out some of your strategy because I follow you very closely. Social Insider, you, Adina, I see when you post, but can you elaborate on that for a minute?
Of course, most of our audience right now on social media is from the US and UK. So I kind of have to find a way in between. Like, even when it's in Europe and one, of course, it's US, I have to find out an hour where they are, maybe it's not their best hour, but they will see in the For You page at one time. So this is what I follow, the date. Sometimes it show you like the best time to post for your audience, but you have multiple location for your audience, so you have to find the perfect hour for both, because otherwise, why can you do? And also, where are they from? Because like you said, you maybe have new connection and you have to refresh every time your audience. Maybe right now it's from US, but from 6 months, maybe the audience place will change. So it's an important date. And even people say right now that the date and the hour doesn't matter, because as you can see, LinkedIn shows you content from 6 months ago. Or I think it's still important to look, and maybe not just for our post, like to know when to post, but also for their behavior. When we do their behavior analysis, we have to look where are they from culturally. There are some things that you cannot say to them. There are some words, even if they are trending, we have to know where our audience stand culturally, so we cannot use those words. And also for them to understand exactly like you said, when is their lunchtime, when maybe we are stalking them a little bit, but it's useful.
Yeah, no, and I want to follow up with that. If you're wondering when to post, it's also the time when you're going to be most active. I know that's kind of a given with you, Miruna, but if you're going to post at a time that you're sleeping or you're posting at a time where you're in a meeting, then your content isn't going to do as well versus when you post
Exactly.
at a time that you can comment on other people's content too, because
Yeah.
and respond to comments. So that's kind of a given if you're in social media, but let's say this out loud because we have quite a few founders and small business owners that watch this. So it's better to post when you're going to be active, even if you use a scheduler at a time that you know you're available in case somebody comments and you can actually have a conversation with them on social. So that's really important. I use schedulers, but I still try to be present, especially on LinkedIn when my posts go live. So
Yeah.
let's wrap it up. Miruna, so much information about trends and what's going on. Is there one trend, and this is your last question, that you secretly love, but you know you can't use? Like
Yes.
what's something? Okay. Share?
It is, and but it's because of me. I can use because of me, not because of my team. It's the one with, because we're in a social media like a marketing team, and also our buyer persona. It's also marketers and social media, and I love so much the trend with. Like the results will be based on performance, and then and the team is dancing. I love the trend, but I can make it because I'm not good at dancing, but
Yeah.
I love to do it. So if someone out here is in the same position as us and wants to try this trend, it's very funny and I love it.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Miruna, where are you personally most active on social media? If people want to connect with you because you're a cool chick, you know a lot about trending content. And then just a reminder, I will make sure to link in the show notes to a Glitz in the Metrics newsletter because you've got to get that in your inbox every week. So where are you most active? Where can people connect with you and find you?
Of course, you can find me on LinkedIn. Miruna Vokic is my name, but if it's hard to write it or to understand, I think Dorian can, if she wants, she can link my personal LinkedIn here.
Yeah.
So you can find me here.
Yeah, I will do that. I will link that in the show notes as well. And of course, Social Insider, if you need any benchmarking ideas, there's some great tools out there. You guys just came out with a bunch of new tools and
free tools.
free tools, lots of studies. You guys are definitely my go-to if I need any statistics on anything, trending stuff. Make sure you check out their blog and their study. So Miruna, thank you so much. We went 3 minutes over. I am going to say goodbye to our audience.
Thank you.
Everybody so much for being here. I'll be back next week with another episode of Strategy Talks. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.